Hi, could you tell me, I have this random paper pinned to the side of my fridge. Could you please read it to me? Tell me what it is. You don't have to read it word for word, but I want to know what it is. Does this look like a HUD inspection sheet or a thing that somebody might have written to help a housekeeper just keep my apartment clean in general? Okay, then that was an inspection list from years ago, and as I prepare to move, I don't think my housekeeper needs it. Or if she does, my new manager will no doubt send one of these next time there's an inspection. She can read that. I'm not moving with this. Thank you. This is not a good way to start my moving day. I set an alarm for 7:30, woke up to it, fell asleep again. I was just so tired. Woke up to the 8 o'clock alarm. I'm going to stay awake now, but...
The time is 8:08 a.m.
It's 8:08. I'm still not, feeling really energetic. First of all, who am I kidding? I never feel, super energetic. But to be dragging and having a hard time getting going on this of all days is not good. But hopefully if I eat something, I will get some energy. And when I think about what I'm going to eat, there's something on the counter. I knew that was not going to be breakfast, but I don't even think it's going to be a part of breakfast. Am I going to even finish it, or am I just going to throw it out? It is not securely... I never liked the lid that... It was... I bought it because my work team and I had the most awesome work day ever. I mean, it wouldn't even qualify as a work day. It was a play day. How often do you go to work and your team has a play day? That was a cool day, one I might have to tell you about sometime, but not today. Today, the point is, part of it was just a trip to a store. We weren't even planning on that part. We were browsing the store, and they were like, here's some of the stuff we're passing, and somebody said something, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds really good. You know what? Let's stop, and I'll pick one of those up. Okay, it sounded good when I bought it. I've eaten quite a bit of it. But, first of all, I don't really need it. Secondly, I don't like the way that lid is. I mean, it just doesn't securely fit on there. And thirdly, I mean, it's just not that good for you. You know, I guess you would call it comfort food, but it's not like regular comfort food. I never buy these for myself. It's like, I would call it like a special treat, I guess. Maybe something to celebrate the move, but when I think about trying to move it, especially with that lid, and do I want to even finish it? I mean, what's left of it probably won't move with me. If I really want one that bad, I can always see if I can get it delivered through Shipt, because Shipt does work with the store that we went to. I don't know if I would get them to get it from the exact same store, but if my local one doesn't have it, then again, I don't really need it. It's not something I'll probably be buying myself regularly. Anyway, there's more healthy things in the refrigerator. Maybe not mega, mega, mega healthy, but healthier than that for sure. And that's what I'm going to make. And I hope that will keep my energy going. And I hope that will not put me back to sleep. And I hope that will keep me going until such times I can find the ability to eat again. I hope that the relocation team doesn't show up and I'm still over here struggling to get my act together. The relocation team is supposed to be here at probably 8:45, 8:50. The plan is, as soon as one of them gets here, I am going to make sure that they know at least one important thing to make sure the movers know. And then the point is, I will be assured that when the movers show up, the relocation team can get them started. I got a phone call at 4 o'clock yesterday saying, your apartment manager's boss, or your apartment manager's boss's boss's boss, I don't know, somebody at a senior level of the apartment management staff for the company of the building you're about to move out of, and maybe the building you're about to move into. I'm not quite sure if it's the same company or not. I might have to ask them. That person will be there in the office at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, this morning, my moving day, to help you get the paperwork taken care of so that you can move into your new apartment knowing what your rent is going to be for the next several months. I'm like, okay. I said, okay, thank you. But, of course, in my mind, I'm going, okay, well, I hate that it took that long. I mean, I probably said this. I hate that it took this long, but all right. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to wait until the 11th hour, till the last possible minute to go take care of this. But as circumstances had it, that was just the way it was meant to be, I guess. What is the weather?
Right now it is 40 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly cloudy skies. Today's forecast has partly sunny weather with a high of 62 degrees and a low of 35 degrees.
It's going to be a beautiful day. I hear birds singing out there. It's starting out as a beautiful morning, although a little bit brisker than what I like it to be. But yeah, this is the day. This is the day that I am finally doing the last bit of packing, as in doing the stuff that I'm putting the stuff that I've been living with, that I live with every day, into the suitcases, the backpacks, the things that I'm going to be carrying with me. Not even putting in a box, just carrying with me, and taking this obstacle course of an apartment that I have created over the past few days with boxes everywhere. Many of them with things in them, many of them with braille labels on them. And we're putting it all in either in a truck or in an Uber, and we're moving it to the other side of this side of town, where I'm going to be moving into an apartment in that building for a year and a half, 2 years, however long this construction project happens at this one, that I was never, from the minute I found out this was going on, I was like, hell no. There is no way I'm living inside this. There is no way I'm moving 10 times. There is no way I'm trying to navigate a constantly changing construction site that is the building that they're trying to remodel with me living inside it. Being blind, I can't imagine. I'm sure it would be hard for a sighted person or a perfectly able-bodied person to do that. I just can't imagine safely doing it, especially when, I don't have built-in sighted assistance. I don't have a person who is constantly there. I can call Aira anytime, but okay, I need to take your elbow and you need to walk me around this shit. That is what I would say to a person who was sighted and helping me. Aira cannot do that. I love Aira. It's still such a valuable service. However, even a wonderful service like Aira has its limits, and there's a difference between virtual and in person, and Aira is built-in assistance when it comes to some things. But what I need to navigate this is in-person assistance. Aira just can't deliver that. So when... This is not getting me ready to get going. I have all this time now that I paid for Tunes to Tube, and I can have as long as hour-long vlogs. I could yammer all I want to, but I need to be doing stuff while I yammer. What was I going to say? Aira, I can't do that. So, sometimes you say yes to something because other people want you to say yes to it, or you say no to something because other people want you to say no to it. People in my life seemed to think that I could handle this. I was never confident, but they thought that I could handle it, and they, I guess, partially convinced me that I could handle it. So at first I was thinking, well, maybe we can make it work. Well, when they offered me the option to move into a different building, you'd think I would have said yes, absolutely, but at first I was like, well, I mean, I'll think about it. I was kind of hesitant. And then the relocation agent came in and kind of explained to me what it would mean if I did try to stay here. As far as like even putting a fake wall where they would have to put a fake wall. After a really tough couple of days of me, first of all, asking the wrong people for advice, or the wrong person, I guess, or communicating what I needed from that person in the wrong way, or however that went, the bottom line is I made that mistake, but, then I finally had to get clear about what I wanted and then clearly communicate it to that person. And then I called the relocation team back and said, I know I said I wasn't necessarily open to moving, but I changed my mind. If you can move me to this particular location. Because part of what was going on was they offered 2 places for people to move to. Either the place I'm moving to or a place that's so far away from everything I do. Really, I mean, I think I knew kind of within me what sounded best for me out of those options. What happened was I asked this person what they thought of, I'm using they, them pronouns because whether it's a she or a he is beside the point. I meant to ask this person what they thought of this location, but the way I worded it or the way I communicated it, I guess sent them the wrong idea, and they responded based on that, and that was just a mess. But the bottom line is, I ended up doing what I knew I wanted to do when I first heard this. I mean, let's face it. The whole time this was happening, I was never really at peace with the idea of living in construction. I never liked that idea. And then the opportunity came up to move out of this situation and build a new home somewhere else for the duration of the project, which is expected to be about an hour and a half. Yeah, right. If it was an hour and a half, I could have said, okay, I'll go to work, and when I come back, it'll all be taken care of. It's fine. It's expected to take a year and a half. At least it was last time I was told what it would take. I haven't asked lately, but last thing I knew, it was expected to take a year and a half, but these things certainly can be delayed and plans can change. But the point is, it was a stable place that I could have moved into, and it was, out of the 2 places, it seemed like the best place for me. based on that alone, I could have made the decision without asking that other person. Because it was what aligned best with where I was. I did not want to live inside a construction site. I never did. And this was an opportunity to live outside the construction site. And it was the closest place to everything that I go to out of the two options. I was worried about... First of all, I didn't trust myself to make my own decision. Secondly, I was worried about the area. I didn't know anything about it. And instead of asking the person directly what I wanted to know, I told them the whole story. And they just came up with reasons why neither one of them would work, which, of course, that wasn't what I wanted to hear. Anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make is I'm reflecting on the way this has all happened, because I guess I'm saying that what I'm learning is that as much as I've never trusted myself to make good decisions, as much as I've never been given any reason to believe that I made the right decisions from outside forces, outside influences that have always been influential in my life, the ones that were the most influential in not the first part of my life. The person that was the most influential in the first part of my life, God rest her soul, is no longer with us. I would have loved to have her for longer. Things would have gone so much better if I had had her. But she is my guardian angel. She's looking down on me from heaven. She always has been. And the most influential person in my life, at the first part of my life, was her. The most influential people in the second part of my life didn't teach me how to trust myself. They taught me how to dislike myself, distrust myself, believe that if I liked it or if I thought it was what I wanted to do, it was wrong. And then I had the year of a lot of skills learning and a lot of, getting help for things that I probably needed help with years ago, but the people involved at the time didn't acknowledge it or didn't know how to deal with it. So after that year, I knew I was going to need support. Where was I going to go get it? From these relatives. Well, these relatives, again, did the best they could, and I truly am grateful to them for all the help that they have given me over the years. But they also, we don't always see eye to eye. Neither one of them and I do. And I get so worried about what they're going to think of what I do. I guess there's still some of that, I need your permission to do it. And I'm finally realizing through this experience, I don't need your permission to do shit. I'm a grown woman. I have the right to do what I want to do. And, at least one of them, probably even the other one, would acknowledge that as well. She has acknowledged that as well. She has said, I don't know how to talk about what she has said, because what she has said was about a subject that I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. But the point is, she said, the way we have this particular aspect of life set up, I have to authorize you to use it, but you can use it however you want to. I mean, I can't tell you what to do with it. What has been lacking all this time was me trusting myself to do what was right. And I guess it took this move and deciding whether or not to make this move, a decision I could have made myself, just based on, okay, I have always hated the idea of living inside this construction site. I'm being offered a chance to move out of the construction site. Well, it is a construction site. I'm being offered the chance to move out of the place while it's still not a construction site, just before it turns into a construction site, and stay out until after the construction is over with. They have two options. One way too damn far away for me to even think about moving to. The other on the other side of the side of town that I work and live and do everything. Okay. Yes, I would like to move out of this building. I am not willing to live in that building. Can we find me a place in this building? Is that going to be possible? That's what I ended up saying to them 48 hours after they came to me with this proposal. And I probably did the right thing thinking about it and taking my time. But, you know, it's funny. I have a content creator that I follow. If you would have told me a year or two ago that I would follow her, that she would be making this kind of content, and I would actually be watching it every day, I would have told you, I don't follow that. You're crazy. But I still don't follow it fully. I still don't embrace it and commit to studying it. She can do the studying, and I'm willing to just hear what she has to say. But in her daily content today, she said to kind of be conscious of who you're spending time with, who you're hanging around. And when I heard that, I thought, well, who am I hanging around that maybe I shouldn't be? And it's not so much that I'm hanging around people that I shouldn't be necessarily. It's who am I letting influence me out of doing what I know to do? I have been doing that my whole life, and it took this move and the ability to make this move and the decision behind, do I make this move or not, to realize that really I am a lot more capable than I give myself credit for, and I let others convince me otherwise. I'm going to kind of take the responsibility for making my own decisions, and I'm going to figure out what the difference is between asking for their opinions and letting them tell me what to do. Or I might just do what I've been saying I was going to do for years, make the decisions myself, and then tell them, by the way, newsflash, guess what I did? Guess what I've decided to do? It's done. You may not like it, but it's like kind of done and too late to go back. So, surprise. It's the time for discussion is over. I've made the decision and it's done. You may think that's the stupidest thing I ever did, but it's done. It still could be a while before I actually say that to them about a particular thing. But the point is, I've been saying for a couple of years now that I want to start doing that. But that's easy to say and then hard to do when you, again, don't trust yourself. I guess this whole move-making decision was a test in trusting myself. And whether I passed it or not, I'm going to just hopefully I've learned a lesson about when I want advice or want assistance in making the decision. It's all about who you ask, I guess. Do you ask the people that have always influenced you, who you trust their opinions because just maybe of who they are, but you really don't necessarily align with them, that you don't necessarily see eye to eye with them? Or do you find another way to get that information, but really talk it through and make the decision with the help of people who aren't going to tell you what to do, but will help you sort through your thoughts and figure out what works best for you. That's what I think I learned through the decision to make this move, and I hope I fully learned that lesson, because if I didn't, history will repeat itself until I do. That's kind of the way it works. If there's a lesson to be learned and you don't learn it, life will teach you that lesson again and again and again until you finally realize, oh shit, about 10 experiences ago, this lesson was here. I never learned it, so I had to go through this and this and this. Okay. I have to stop vlogging, stop talking, stop reflecting, stop doing whatever I'm doing in this video. I have to stop making a video now and get back to what is happening right now, because I've got a little bit of everyday packing to do. I certainly have self-nourishment to do, and I'm running out of time to do it. I think that's about all I can stick in that compartment. Yeah, I think those things actually need to go in here, not there. It is approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm finally on my way to my new place. It was a challenging morning, I'll tell you about it later. The first thing that I think when I do a little bit of orientation around here, only partial orientation, is that these are the screwiest freaking doors in the world. Wait till I tell you about these doors. It is 5-something in the afternoon on moving day. Things just got crazy. It got crazy to the point where at the end of the workday, I was not comfortable staying there tonight. Thank God I have a relative who always said, if you need to stay with me, I'm here. I'm going to my relative's house tonight where I can relax and be familiar with the place, and she's getting some stuff for dinner, so I think I have time to talk. There is a security system at my new place, as there was at my old place, but the security system there is not like the one here. There, if you know what apartment number you're in, you're good. Here, you have to know the name of the person you're trying to see, which is fine, but I mean, that means there's a lot of security. That I think people have gotten really lax at my other place, what used to be my place, what technically still is my place, unless I decide that I'm comfortable enough in a year and a half to say, you know what, can I just stay here? I don't want to deal with that moving crap again if I don't have to. But at what used to be my place, I think they've gotten kind of lax, and technically you're not supposed to just open the door for people just randomly. People here, residents here, are much more good about that. If they don't recognize the person, they do not just randomly open the door for you. I am not familiar enough with the place to leave my apartment, go to the elevator, go down to the front door, and let somebody in. I don't really want to have to do that. I want to be able to use the security system and buzz them in. As of now, I cannot do that. I am not in the security system at my new place. I don't know how this happened, but I can't actually stay there and be fully comfortable there until, number one, I have a good long orientation and mobility lesson, which is going to happen tomorrow. At least one good long orientation and mobility lesson. And number two, I'm in the security system. Hello? So, although I'm not quite sure it's been fully communicated, I'm going to communicate it to her when she gets back and hope that that works for her. I think at least for the next 2 nights, I'm going to be spending the night at her place. I'll probably be spending the days at my apartment, but I'm going to be spending the nights at her place because I just think that's a major safety concern. If I'm not prepared to evacuate, if God forbid there's a fire or a fire incident, and if somebody shows up to see me and there's no way that I can buzz them in, those situations need to be fixed before I'm safe staying there. So I'm staying with my relative tonight for sure, and probably tomorrow too. Because why can't this get taken care of tomorrow? Because staffing-wise, there is no one in the building tomorrow. That's crazy too, in my opinion. But not quite as crazy as one apartment manager trying to run 3 buildings, which is the case at my old place. The place I just moved out of. Well, I'm at my relative's house and I decided to go ahead and, talk now. Today was nothing but chaos. And I was like, well, I'll just try to be flexible. But it was really... Okay, so... First of all, it was probably finally 9:15 or 9:30 before the relocation team person showed up. And then the movers showed up. And I needed to go to the apartment manager's office and get that silly paperwork signed. And that was a mess. I went down there, and it turned out that somebody above the apartment manager had to approve the... She said, it's prepared, let me see if it's actually approved. And that took quite a bit of time. I guess it wasn't approved. And the time finally came when I was like, all I keep thinking about is what's going on in my apartment while I'm not in there. I ended up... She gave me the information that I needed, but signing the damn paperwork... That's what couldn't be done because it wasn't officially approved. We knew what the numbers were, but the paperwork had to be officially approved. And that took forever and a day to get done. And she finally said, I'll give you a call when it's done or email you when it's done and we'll figure it out. I went back to the apartment, was there for some of the packing and stuff. Finally got the call. The paperwork was finally approved. I was finally able to go down, sign it. I had questions that the apartment manager didn't know how to answer. And then finally, we just signed it and called it done. Other questions that the apartment manager didn't know how to answer had to do with, am I paying rent to you or to the other apartment? Turned out the apartment manager of the new apartment had the answer to that. It was one of the few things she was able to tell me before she had to run off to a meeting. She didn't know what time I was moving in and she had appointments. I'm like, well, the name of the game all day has been, we have no idea what's going to happen, but I couldn't get the keys without signing off on paperwork at the new place. I signed stuff without knowing what I was signing because we did not have time to sit and read it all. Then I found out that both the apartment manager and the other person who worked there, first of all, they don't work Wednesdays at all, apparently, not on site. I mean, they answer emails and phone calls, but they're not actually in the building on Wednesdays, which meant there's nothing that they can do with me tomorrow. And then on Fridays, when I'm off work, they're off work too, or at least, again, I don't know where they're working at or if they work, but they're not in the building. So that becomes, okay, if I'm going to spend at least a year and a half longer, if things take longer, at this place, I may have to rearrange my work schedule, like take Mondays off or Thursdays off again or something, some day when at least the apartment manager's in the office, because I can't take a day off every time I need to talk to the apartment manager just because she doesn't come in on the days that I usually have off. What a mess. But that wasn't nearly the mess that finding out I wasn't in the security system was. Ugh. That just... The way I see it, let's see, I forget what came up before. Something came up, that's what came up before. I had this fear, whether it was founded or not. I still kind of have this fear. The first building evacuation, if the fire alarm goes off or something. I mean, that happens at the place that I just moved out of all the time. I mean, maybe not all the time, but it happens every so often. I'm like, what happens when the fire alarm goes off at this place? I'm going to have to know how to get out of here. I was thinking, what happens if that happens tonight? I am not going to be able to get myself out of here. And at that point, I wondered if maybe I should stay at my relative's place. And then this happened, and I'm like, now I know I'm staying at my relative's place if she'll have me. Thank God she'll have me. For some reason, I was just meant to stay at her place for the next couple nights, I guess. And circumstances just happened so that I didn't have any choice. Well, I suppose I could have had a choice, but I mean, you could argue that I had a choice. I could have tried to force it to work, but there was just no way. Nothing was unpacked, or very little was unpacked. I couldn't have found anything in that boxed up mess. And if anyone had shown up to try to help me, I had no way to buzz them in, and I could not go down to the elevator, or down to the... Yeah, I could not walk to the elevator, go to the door and meet them, because I'm not familiar enough with the building yet. So... It was best that I stay where I'm staying tonight. And until I get into the security system. Hopefully that happens Thursday. I don't know what kind of vlog this has turned out to be, but I'm going to actually call this the end of it. Thank you for listening/watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.